Welcome to another episode of The Next Generation, the Cowboy Creative Style. And I am here with my amazing co-host, Miss Lindsay Miller.
Hello, hello.
And today, guys, we are here to talk about all things social media and why you should show up on social media, how to show up on social media, the importance of it, all the things. But first and foremost, you guys,
Lauren has some big news.
So we are pre-recording this. We are pre-recording this because life is about to get crazy and chaotic for me. Because this is going to be coming out on the Thursday before my wedding.
So happy Thursday. Happy
Thursday.
Lauren she is an absolute planner, control freakazoid, and she has already got everything planned, but I guarantee you, this will be one day when this launches, you will have just left Colorado because we have just done all of our branding photos. Yeah. I will have gotten to see Lauren right before she goes to her wedding, and tell us a little bit about where you are getting married, Lauren.
Yeah. So
nobody crash it. Don't give out too many specifics. So we don't want people to crash the elopement.
8 a.m. This location. Be there, be square.
Pin dropped.
Pin dropped. This is where we're gonna be. So yeah, it's super exciting. I'm so excited. Like Lindsay said, I pretty much have everything planned for our wedding. I actually, little secret, I had a lot of our wedding planned before we even got engaged. I had my dream dress picked out before we even got engaged.
You
I
don't
bought my
say.
Dress before we got engaged.
Whoa,
I knew
crazy. Red
I was
flag.
getting engaged. Sorry, guys. Sorry if you're a girl that wants to be surprised. I am not. I like to have a plan. Yeah.
This is true.
So, a lot of my wedding is already done and planned. We are 3 weeks out from it right now when we are at the time of recording. And honestly, it's to the point now where the only things we have left to do are the things you can only do the week of. So like prepping the food for the weekend, getting all of like the dresses steamed, all of those things. Like that's all stuff you have to do the week of.
You're making your own food for the wedding?
We are. So this is kind of like our outline plan for the wedding. So Wathan and I that's my fiance's name, are doing
It's like Nathan, for anybody who's confused, because it confused me at first too, the first time I had a conversation with Lauren, but it's Nathan with a W.
Yes, that is exactly
minus the N.
Yes.
No N.
There's an N, Wathan.
Well, not at the beginning.
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah. Switch out the N for the W. Okay, yeah, sorry, I know what you mean now. Anywho, so Wathan and I are doing a destination wedding in the Grand Tetons in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So super ecstatic for that. I'm so excited. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. We're renting out a massive Airbnb about an hour south of Jackson. It is humongous. So it's got a main house, and then it also has a like second property where they've got like just a ton of bunks and like a ton of other things. So everyone that is staying, like everyone that's coming, I know it is a little bougie. The price tag comes with it.
Yeah. If you guys are thinking about eloping in that area of Wyoming, the Jackson Hole area is extremely expensive. Yeah. I don't care if it's a hotel, if it's an Airbnb, even the Motel Super 8s, they are expensive. So prepare yourself for that. A lot of people go into an elopement and they think this is going to be cheap.
No, we're spending more on this than we would on a wedding.
Whoa, girl.
Big wedding. Well, okay, that's also why we're staying. That's also why we're staying an hour and a half south of Jackson in this Airbnb, because you physically cannot get an Airbnb in Jackson for this many people for like under $1 million. And I'm sorry, I'm not spending that on my housing for my wedding. Yeah. And so we are staying in a massive Airbnb south of there. So that's why we're cooking we're bringing all the food like pre-cooked in a sense, or at least like ready to be assembled, and then like my grandma and like some of my like stepmoms or aunts or just other family members are going to help like assemble it throughout the weekend. That way we don't have to deal with anything once we get there. So it's just like the food prep that we're going to do beforehand. So like, for example, Wathan's favorite meal is lasagna, and so we're doing lasagna.
Do you use deer sausage in that too?
We do.
Lauren,
we use sausage in a lot of things.
I have had Lauren's cooking and it is very good. Let me just say that. But your girl grew up on a feedlot. My dad nobody, I guess I'm not going to be stereotypical and say only men hunt, but my dad specifically never like had time to hunt. I don't think it was ever like a hobby of his. He didn't care. So like the second Lauren told me I was eating like this biscuit thing with like deer sausage, and I was like, no, immediately no. Like you couldn't.
You didn't even know.
No, I didn't know. Like, but then when you told me, When you told me, I was like, no, absolutely not.
Oh my gosh. See,
It's
our
okay.
freezer
We still
is
love
full
you.
of beef and deer because Wathan's a hunter. So yes, it will be made with deer probably, or beef from my parents' freezer. I have no idea which yet. But anyway, like that's an example of something that like we're gonna assemble beforehand and then like just freeze it and put it in a cooler and take it with us on the way up, so that it's like less that we have to do once we get there. So that's really the only stuff we have left to do is stuff like that. My dress still isn't fully done. My grandma is altering it for me, but luckily the dress fit pretty much like a glove, and there was only like a slight alteration that we had to do to some of the straps.
Just a minor flex, like it just fit like a glove.
Well, I'm very, very grateful that it did. Fun fact, I actually bought my dress secondhand.
Really?
Yeah, I did, which saved me thousands of dollars. But so long story short of my dress. So I found it on Pinterest and texted it to my maid of honor and was like, dude, this is my dress. Like this is my wedding dress. I'm obsessed with this dress. And it was like super classy and elegant, but still had like a creative flair to it. And I sent it to her. I was like, this is my dress. I love it so much. And I went and the thing on Pinterest wasn't linked to anything. And so I had to reverse image Google search it and finally found it. Yeah, it took a lot of effort to like find the designer name of this dress.
You're like the FBI.
For real, on this dress, like figuring out what it was. Found the like designer name for the dress and like the style and all of that stuff. It took me a long time to find it. Figured out it was a dress like design and style from 2019 and no places in, so like there were only I think 10 cities in the United States that carried this designer in their shops, and no places had this as a sample dress anymore. Well, I called every single one of them asking if they had it as a sample or just like happened to have it in the back for me to be able to try it on. Well,
this had to be so depressing, honestly, for you when it happened.
Kind of was, because it was at the point where it was like, okay, I already by this point knew that I could still order this dress like secondhand, or find it secondhand or something like that, and it would come in, but I wouldn't be guaranteed that it would be the right size. So like I could get it in and risk it being too small or something like that. Because
and you're also fairly tall, so like finding one that would be long enough and in your size. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the last place I called was the bridal shop in Portland, Oregon, which just so happened to be where my maid of honor lived at the time. Was in Portland, Oregon.
Meant to be.
Like it was meant to be. And so I called them and they were like, oh, we carry this designer. We do not carry this dress anymore as a sample size, but they happen to have it in the back. What?
I have a question though. Like if there were these different bridal shops and they carried that designer, couldn't they just contact the designer and ask them to make it again?
Yeah, they totally could have. All of them could have, but I really wanted to try the dress on because I was like, this is my dress, but like at the same time, I wanted to still try on other dresses and like make sure that this was my dress.
I get that.
And so I called them and they were like, we do not have it in stock, like all this stuff, but you can come like try on other design, like other items from this designer. We can fit you all of this stuff and we can like give you a feel for what it would look like. And so I go in person, like fly to Portland. We go bridal dress shopping before Wathan and I are even engaged. Sorry, Mom.
What did you tell Wathan you were doing? What did you tell Wathan you were doing?
I think he knew. I feel like he knew. I'm pretty positive that I told him because we were very open about like engagement and planning and like all of that stuff.
Right.
And
we love that.
We love a understanding and supportive man. Shout out to Wathan. And so I go into this bridal shop and we're trying on dresses and I show the like stylist again. I'm like, I just really love this dress. I really want to try on dresses by this designer, get a feel for it. I was like, I'm obviously open to other dresses, but I really love this one. And they put me in a dress and then like gave me a minute to like sit there and experience it, all of those things. It was not the designer. It was not the dress, but I really did love the dress that they put me in first. And she was like, I was changing in the room afterwards and I could hear her like whispering something to my maid of honor who was with me, Taylor. And Taylor was like, oh, just give her a second. She had to run to the back and go get something. She comes back out of the back room with the dress, guys. Like
maybe they were waiting to see like actually what size you were in person because wedding dress sizes are much different than like street sizes.
They absolutely are.
Yeah. And so probably like you are a petite person and like you're tall, but you're petite still. Yeah. And so they probably were like I will just be honest, like a lot of people honestly do not understand wedding dress sizing. Like if you say that you are a wedding dress size 10, you're probably a street size 6. Like, it's
Yeah.
very confusing. So
It is very
I
confusing.
feel like probably like bridal boutiques have to like take what you say your size is with a grain of salt.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
1,000%.
so they probably
do.
wanted to see what you looked like in person, honestly, first, because they don't want to bring out a dress like you're not even going to fit your arm into. You know?
Exactly. And so the thing is about that dress, though, so it was not a dress that they were carrying. It was a sample, anything like this. This was a dress that the bride ended up not getting married, so she just like left it at the boutique, like returned it, whatever. It was just still at the boutique.
Wait, that boutique let you return dresses? Dang, I need to go.
I have no idea what the whole situation on it was, but
everybody's like, "Wait, what was the name of the place?
This
you
bride
refund your dress?"
Not getting married, and so they had the dress still in the back, and so they let me try it on, and it was like 2 sizes too big, so I was still like swimming in the dress, but it at least gave me like an idea for like, oh my gosh, I loved it. I bawled my eyes out. I love this dress so much. I cannot wait to share the photos, you guys. Like, this dress is everything.
You are building unintentional hype right now.
Oh,
you
yeah,
truly
no,
are.
1,000%. I am like, if you are watching the YouTube video of this or like reels of this, you're gonna see like I'm so freaking excited right now talking about this dress. I am obsessed with her. And so they had the main part of the dress there, but I still wanted a custom additional piece to it, and I'm not letting any of that information go yet. You guys will see what I mean later on.
Yeah,
so I had to contact the Israeli designer. So they're an Israeli designer, and we had to contact them through WhatsApp. And while I was in Portland, be like, hey, can you still like custom make this piece? And they're like, yep, we can absolutely do that. When is the wedding? I told them, and it was like, I went like 6 months ago to try on these dresses or whatever. And they're like, oh, that's cutting it close. And this piece just came in like a couple weeks ago, but it fits like a glove. So everything's really great there. But yeah, that's the story of my dress. So I did not buy the one from the bridal shop in Portland. I could have bought a new one from the designer, and they would have made it, but it would have cost me thousands of dollars more. And I ended up finding it on, I think, Still White for like $1,200 secondhand, and the bride that had it before was my exact sizing, except her bust was a little bit larger than mine. Go figure. And shocker, I know. And so I got the dress in, bought it. She had it like custom preserved and cleaned and all that stuff, so it was in like a preservation box. It was really nice. And so like if you're looking to like save a little bit of a dime on your wedding, not in your wedding photography wise, because like you need to splurge there, but like on your dress that you're only going to wear for a few hours anyway, Still White has some really great options. So
and a lot of dresses, like I guess for me, like shooting like rural ranch and Western weddings, like I know for a fact, like, so I ended up with 2 wedding dresses. That's a story for a different day. We will probably, Lauren and I are thinking about having a podcast episodes. It's literally about like our weddings, because the day that we're recording this, it's actually one day after my husband and I's anniversary, our wedding anniversary. So I have been married. I have gone through it as a bride, and I'm also a wedding photographer. And now, after a few days from when you guys hear this, Lauren will also have been a wed woman. Lathan's making an honest woman out of her.
Did you guys catch that in the intro? I already changed my name to Lauren Moylan, even though it's not technically Lauren Moylan yet.
It's fine.
I didn't want to have to re-record the intro after I get married, guys.
It's fine. Okay? My name is technically Lindsay Almer, but I still go by Lindsay Miller. I go by my maiden name, like the opposite of Lauren over here.
It's fine.
But anyways, I ended up with 2 dresses. But a lot of times, I only wore one of them though. So again, that's a story for a different time. A lot of times, wedding dresses, specifically in the Western realm of weddings, they don't stay the cleanest. So if you can find a secondhand dress that is really well preserved, like the one that Lauren found, like I would definitely encourage you to look into that option, because like most of those dresses are getting trashed. And like when people are like, oh, I don't want to get my dress dirty, I'm like, girl, you're getting married in a pasture. Like, what do you think is
get dirty?
Yeah, you're not getting married on a golf course with pristine cement.
Yeah, like exactly.
You're getting married in a pasture. My dress, it was rainy on our wedding day, and like I was really depressed the day of about that. But like actually, I was thankful when I like actually took a step back and thought about it, because like, one, it's not like beaten down, like blaring 100-degree heat out on this pasture where I provided no shade whatsoever for my guests, because hello, northeastern Colorado, we have no trees.
No trees.
Yes, just prairie. Anyways, but then like the cow pasture where my cattle are like currently going to the bathroom in, like we're out there walking around doing bride and groom pictures. So like my enormous elegant train is just covered in cow shit, basically. Fresh.
And I'm fully prepared for that, because Wathan and I's actual like ceremony location. So prepare yourselves, grasp, hold on. If you're driving, pay attention when I say this.
We're holding on.
It is at 8 a.m. in in the Grand Tetons, like in the national park.
Girl, do not get eaten by a wolf, because don't you know that's when wildlife, here's a Colorado fact for you, wildlife is the most active during dawn and dusk.
Yep, I did know that.
So if Lauren doesn't come back,
I'm marrying a hunter. I very much know when wildlife is active.
Well, Wathan's not going to be able to hunt in the park.
No, he will not. But I'm not really worried about getting eaten by a wolf. Okay. I think we'll be okay. But we got.
But if Lauren ever comes back, you know what happened.
You know what happened. Lauren probably died on her wedding day by Lindsay's idea of her getting eaten by a wolf.
It wasn't my idea. I'm telling you to be cautious.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But yeah, we're doing our ceremony at 8 a.m. So we have to, and it's an hour and a half away from our Airbnb. So we have to leave the Airbnb at 6:30, which is a little daunting. But at the same time, I'm so excited because I was like a photographer's viewpoint. And there's also only like 30 people coming to our ceremony. So it's not like I'm making 108 people like get up super early and like be there. It's only 30 people and they're like our closest family and friends, like our ride or dies type of thing. But yeah.
Have you seen that meme where it's like, I was a different person when I booked this flight? I was a different person when I did this. And so like, well, Lauren she's known for being a different person, because when Homie G booked my flight to fly to Kansas City for our workshop, our very first workshop, shout out to everybody who was there. It was called Cowboy Kinda Love. That was all Lauren's idea. I was an educational speaker there, and now it has morphed into this. But she's like, okay, yeah, so your plane boards Denver at like 8 a.m. And I'm like, okay, so if you guys have never been to Denver International Airport, it's like one of the biggest airports in the entire United States
to travel through.
Yeah, just because it's an international airport, so it's a hub for a lot of like airlines, and like you need to you need to be at the airport, like standing in security at least 2 hours before your flight, and you're still taking a risk that you are going to miss your flight because security is so long, because there's so many flights, there's so many people, it's insane. And also like weather's very like finicky here in Denver. So like storms just come out of nowhere.
Real thing.
Yeah, it's real. So like when Lauren told me that, I knew I was leaving my house like 1 a.m. to get to the airport, because I don't live by the airport. I live like an hour and a half away, but it's okay. So Lauren is always a different person when she books things. So
yeah, it's fine. Okay. I think it's like going to be one of those situations that I'm either going to bed at like 6 p.m. the night before. Well, that's not going to physically be possible, but going to bed at like 9 p.m. the night before, or not going to bed at all. And I'm just accepting that. And
don't
also,
do that.
In my timeline, I'm going to go to sleep. Okay. In my timeline, I also have a big fat gap in the middle of the day. So all of us can go take naps if we so need to. And I also would really like, shout out Red Bull. If you could sponsor my wedding weekend, that'd be really cool. At Red Bull, y'all, like on all of this stuff, because I'm a Red Bull girly. I try not to drink Red Bull on any like just a daily situation. Like I'm a health nerd. I love staying healthy, but like my guilty pleasure is Red Bull. Okay. So I don't like eat a bunch of sugar. I don't like splurge on like McDonald's all the time, but like you will catch me with a Red Bull on a wedding.
Can I just say what it's like to be around Lauren? So she has, what is the ring called? What's the ring called?
An Oura ring?
An Oura ring. She has an Oura ring, and like I don't have one of those. I'm not like a Fitbit. I'm not a Fitbit, Apple Watch, an Oura ring girly.
So early 2000s.
So okay. I was just like, I am a millennial. Okay. Anyways, that's why I'm grandma and she's mom. All right. I'm older. Anyways, I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm like, is that like Wathan's ring? And I don't know. I think it's because a lot of times when I'm around people who are not like me and Tucker, it's like in a setting of like an engagement session or a wedding. And like, typically people aren't wearing that. So like they're wearing like their fancy turquoise jewelry, or, you know, they're not wearing like random like Fitbits and Apple Watches, or at least I tell them, please take that off, because you're not going to like how that looks in 20 years, you know? Yep. And so anyways, when like, I first see Lauren in person, I'm like, what is that? Well, firstly, I'm like, you're a lot taller than I imagined, because I'm used to being like one of the tallest people in the room, and Lauren was not a shorty. And I was like, this is crazy. Hello,
fun
friend.
fact, Lauren's like almost 6 feet tall, guys. So
no, you're exaggerating. You're so exaggerating.
I'm 5'11".
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're not. We're gonna get a tape measure out.
Ask my doctor's office. I'm 5'11".
You go to a pediatrician, and they're like, yeah, you're off the chart. Anyways, so like, Lauren has like this Oura ring. She's like, yeah, it tracks this and that and this and that. And then she's like, and I'm telling her about like my food allergy. And I'm like, I can't have foods like this and that and this and that. She's like, yeah, I don't eat a lot of foods with like preservatives in them anyway. So that's like not going to be hard at all. And like, so I'm like, this girl is like psychotic about her health. Like, we love a girl who loves their health. Like, this girl is psychotic. And then fast forward to the next day, she drinks like 17 tons of caffeine in one day. I'm like, Lauren, like, how can you be such a health nerd? And you were just like, okay, you guys are going to hate me. I know there's a time and a place for caffeine. I'm not hating on people who need caffeine. But Lauren drinks a lot. And you're going to like give yourself a heart attack.
Okay, but like, I don't drink any caffeine during the week. Okay, like I don't drink coffee in the mornings. I don't drink like an afternoon pick.
You had an iced coffee. You had an iced coffee while you were teaching about like camera settings at the workshop. You had an iced coffee at your feet and a Red Bull behind you.
Yeah, okay, that's because the weekends that like we're doing stuff like that, we're getting no sleep. I feel like that's an excuse, okay? Wedding weekends where like I need to be on all the time, and then like a weekend like that, like I feel like that's an excuse to have a Red Bull. I'm not like downing them every day like I used to.
Honestly, people are probably going to be like all on your side, and they're going to be hating on Grandma Lindsay, and it's fine. I'm fully aware. It's perfectly fine. So
it's fine. It's fine. But well, we have spent 20 minutes talking about my upcoming wedding and all the things, which I'm super excited about. I could probably talk about all day, and you guys will definitely hear more about it in the coming weeks. Stay tuned on our socials.
Let us know how much you guys want to dive into that, because there's definitely things we can talk about.
We could definitely talk a lot about like Lindsay and I's experience as brides and then as photographers.
And how that translates into a business aspect.
Yeah, for sure. So, but we are here today to talk all about social.
We're paused. Hold on. Talk now.
How about now?
Good. Now good.
Okay. But we are here today to talk all about social media and why you should share about your life, yourself, all of those things on social media as an entrepreneur and business owner, specifically like on your business accounts and kind of what that looks like. So the queen of social media herself, Miss Lindsay Almer, Miller, whatever, Miss Miller.
Lindsay Almer Miller. Lindsay Miller.
Lindsay Almer Miller.
Doesn't matter.
Say that 2 times fast. I will let you take it away with kind of some topics.
Awesome. Okay, you guys. So if you made it through that 25-minute spiel about Lauren at the beginning, that was like intentional, but not intentional at the same way. Like we were candidly talking, but that is going to be kind of like our example for today's episode. So when you are on social media, I always like to say that you need to find a way to set yourself apart from the rest of the competition, from the rest of the creatives, all that good stuff, right? We love our competition, but at the same time, I got bills to pay, so I need some girlies to book with me, all right? And the first things first, and I stress this a lot, is that great photographers are a dime a dozen. There is a difference between being a great photographer and a great photographer with a great brand. Okay. Yep. And so the way that you do this is you just really kind of like talk about yourself, let people know who you are. The amount of weddings and sessions that I have booked because I started posting about, so yes, I'm a 5th generation beef producer, but I also am kind of weird because I have a pet cow. I literally have a pet cow. Her name is Chocolate. When I didn't know what I was doing with my life before I was a photographer and I had no money and I was a college dropout, I bought a heifer. So that's what all sane people do. So like, let's just like not have money and let's like waste more money, right? But anyways, the amount of weddings that I have booked off of me just talking about this dang cow is like insane. Like I literally get inquiries and people will be like, oh my gosh, like I found this video you made with Chocolate on Instagram and like I just thought it was so cute and I would love to book you for my wedding. I'm like, did you like see my editing style or like anything like that? And well, yes, but the way that people are going to like get to know you is you sharing those things about yourself. Because honestly, when you are putting yourself out there online, like again, like I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast right now takes beautiful pictures. I have no doubt that you take amazing, great, beautiful pictures. However, hear me out. Like you need to set yourself apart and be like, look, you should book with me because these are the hobbies I like. People want to be able to connect with people that share the same hobbies. So, and interests and likes and all that stuff. So when we were talking about Lauren's wedding, maybe you're sitting here listening and you're like, oh my gosh, like I really wish I would have gotten married in the Tetons. That sounds like such a dream. Or when Lauren is talking about how she wanted to find a secondhand dress, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like I want a photographer who knows how to find a secondhand dress. Like that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like just little different things like that, that you can just like, you can unintentionally talk about things and people out there on social media will find value in it. So like, just don't think that everything you post about needs to be like, oh, look at these cool photos I took. Look at this cool video I shot. Looky. Like talk about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, guys, like share your life, share who you are outside of just your business, because that's what makes you relatable and that's what makes you like an actual person behind the brand.
Imagine that, being a human.
Imagine that. That's crazy to think about. And it's like, yes, a lot of people out there do have really gorgeous photos, but what makes it like set apart, especially from like when you first start your business as a photographer or videographer, I'm sure like a lot of your first clients were people that you already knew, going into it, things like that. Well, you can't like just rely on the people that you know. You have to also like understand that you need new inquiries coming in from people that you don't know. And the only way you're going to connect to these people that you don't know is by things that aren't necessarily photography related. And so a lot of that is like just going back to what are things in your life, like what are like, think of like 3 or 5 different things in your life that you're like, hey, these are things that I'm super interested about outside of photography or outside of my business. And you can share them consistently, like showing up every single day. Just it's really good for the algorithm and you get rewarded for that. But then also it just really shows like you're forming a community. I don't care if people just click through every single day, like, and don't listen to any of your stories or sometimes, but
there
like
are
at the
people will listen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're going to have 5 to 10 people who do sit there and listen to every single thing that you are saying. And like sometimes it doesn't matter if you're impacting the thousands, it matters if you impact the 5, or it matters like if you're resonating with the 5 or something like that. Like don't be afraid to share on social media. And I think, Lindsay, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about just like showing up authentically and like not being afraid to show up, because I feel like that's a thing that really holds a lot of people back sometimes, is being like, oh, I'm worried about what people are going to think of me.
Yeah, right. So, one of the biggest things that I always like when I think of authenticity, now, photographers, videographers, creatives, do not come for me when I say this, but if you have in your bio and it says, for the wildly in love, yeah, okay, everybody has that. What about that is authentic? Because every freaking photographer is saying for the wildly in love, for the adventure. Yeah, okay, duh. Like that does not set you. That doesn't tell me anything about you. So the best way to be authentic is one, don't be cliche. Come on, like get with the program. It is not that difficult. Stop being so cliche, you guys. Come on, be original. Talk about yourself. What makes you you? What sets your, like, we can all be Western wedding photographers, but what makes me different from Lauren? What makes us different? What would make somebody want to book me over Lauren or Lauren over me? And that's totally fine. I think that's healthy. I don't want to say competition, but that's healthy. We need that because my ideal client is not Lauren's ideal client and vice versa. And that is perfectly fine. And the other thing too is like, if there's a client, and let's say there's somebody who has listened to this podcast, like, wow, I really like Lauren and Lindsay and I want one of them to shoot my wedding, right? I want them to come to our pages and be like, I love Lauren and Lindsay, but I think I'm going to go with Lauren because of XYZ. I think I'm going to go with Lindsay because of XYZ. I want to differentiate myself from Lauren. And the way I'm going to do that is being authentically me, because especially when you are, I can speak as a Western wedding photographer, things can get very stressful. Things are very high stakes. We have crazy stuff that happens, like guests, bridal party members, family members, like go haywire at the wedding. And don't even get me started on the weather that can happen. Like how I'm authentically going to be in that situation. Like people need to know that ahead of time. Just a few things, like I'm always making sure that when I talk to my Instagram stories, I usually record an Instagram story one time. And like, that's it. Like, I'm not trying to make it too rehearsed. I'm turning it around to my face. Like, if like you guys aren't gonna be able to go back and see it now, but if you're a loyal follower of Miss Miller's Photography, the day that we're recording this, I'm literally like outside recording a story of my cattle, and like my hair is not brushed. I have no makeup on. Nothing at all. Like I literally look like a hobo. Like where did the depths of the earth this woman crawl out of? Honestly. Well, I'm not saying you need to look like a hobo all the time. That's just by showing up authentic. If I came to you every single time, perfect hair, perfect makeup, my life is put together, like that just turns people off. Honestly, like nobody can relate to that. Be you, be authentic. And me, I just talk about cows all day. And I'm like, oh, by the way, I dig wedding pictures too if you like are interested in that. It only pays my bills, but whatever, it's fine. So, Lauren,
and I think it's one of those,
be authentic?
Yeah, it's like being authentic and showing up as like 100% you and 100% real. And that's what makes me want to show up, guys, because like I know that when I'm showing up on my Instagram stories or like on my Instagram, like, or on my TikToks or like stuff like that, like I'm being me and like I'm proud of who I am. I feel like a lot of the like imposter syndrome or the fear of showing up, sometimes honestly ask yourself, like, am I proud of who I am? And like, if I am, then it doesn't matter like what it doesn't matter if you're showing up, because if you're showing up as who you are, you're going to be proud of who you're showing up as. So it doesn't matter what everyone else is saying about you showing up. Like, as far as like being scared to show up, just do it, because starting is the hardest part, easily the hardest part. And then after that, you will find that you have some people in your corner that are like your biggest cheerleaders, and they're going to be sliding up on your stories, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, it's so great to see you. Like, I relate to this so much, all of these things. And like, you're going to find those people that are in your corner, and you're always going to have haters. I don't care if you're not showing up on social media, you still got haters. Like,
wait 1 second. I literally have never done this, but I've heard of other people who have had to do it. They literally, sorry family and friends, but they literally block the people that they personally know from their business Instagrams, because one, grandma's not booking them for photos, so who cares, right? Sorry, grandma. But like, a lot of people find it easier to talk to a group of strangers and say things about themselves to a group of strangers, other than you're like, well, I'm going to say like how much I love flowers today, and I love to garden, and I have this garden, I'm so proud of it. And then like in the back of your mind, you're like, well, my mom's going to see this, and my mom knows that I killed like 7 plants this year and she's going to judge me. And so like, okay, I would never block my mother. Hi, Mom. But there are people who do that, and that is perfectly okay. Like, you can make it so it's comfortable and safe for you. I also have heard a tip where like when you're recording a story and you normally like record it straight on, I've heard of people who actually flip their phone around. So they're using the actual back camera. They're not using the front facing camera, and they're not actually having to look at themselves while they talk. And it actually makes it so much more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's just finding what works best for you. And if you are afraid of like your family or the people in your small town or stuff like that, like finding your socials, like
coworkers.
Yeah, for real. Hello. Sorry if any coworkers are listening to this. But like, I've blocked coworkers from my like person, like from my business.
They're not your ideal client.
They're not my ideal client. And like, they don't need to be like going.
If anybody makes you feel uncomfy, like, you do what you need to do. And if they take offense to that, that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is a them problem. And it's one of those things that's like, it is not your issue to deal with at the end of the day. Like, just show up as 100% authentically you, and be proud of the content that you're putting out. Like, if you love like XYZ topics, like, go out and talk about those. I don't care if they're related to your business or not. Just like, go out and share who you are. And if you're sharing who you are, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. Okay. Like, literally nothing at all. I do not care if that gets sent around your old high school Mean Girls group chat or something like that, and they're judging you. Who cares? You are building a business for yourself, for your family, and for your future that is going to impact your entire life and impact your entire future and your family's future and everything. Like, be dang proud of that. Be dang proud of that, and do not care what anyone else is saying, because guess what? The haters aren't paying your bills. So,
right. And curation of your life on social media is, I personally feel like, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make.
Yeah.
When we say authentic, we're not just trying to be cliche and saying be authentic. We are trying to stress to you that this old way of curating this perfect life on Instagram, on social media in general, it's done. It's over. Yep. Like, it's so outdated. It's so unrealistic, and people pick up on that. And especially in the world of creativity, they want somebody who is not cliche, who is not, oh, everybody puts for the wild and whimsical and lovey-dovey and wild adventure chaser. Like, no, I want my pictures to be freaking kick-ass and better than somebody else's. And like, like, not me. I'm speaking as a client coming to you. Like, they're like, okay, why would I book like the same photographer who says the exact same thing in her Instagram bio as everybody else? Like, that's so stupid. Basically, like, it's not going to, I could talk about this forever, but reel it back in, Lindsay. Basically, saying that you need to just set yourself apart. We want clients to come to your Instagram, to come to your socials, to be like, wow, like, well, I'm a 5th generation rancher too. That's really awesome. I want to work with Lindsay. Or, when they go to Lauren's page, like, I have a podcast too. I think Lauren and I would get along just great. Different things like that.
And it's also one of those things that like, you have to approach it from a mindset that maybe they're not following you for your photo business, or they're not following you for your business, but they're following you because you're a 5th generation manager, or because you're a podcaster, or because like you're XYZ. Like, maybe they start following you for that reason, but then you get them in, like, you are in their minds now. And maybe when they do get married in 5 years, they've been following you. They created a virtual relationship with you, and they're going to come to you because they're looking for a wedding photographer, and they're like, oh, I know Lindsay. I've been following her for years because we're both 5th generation ranchers and we have all of this in common. And like, I think that she'd be a really amazing wedding photographer, but I didn't follow her because of that.
Right. And the best thing when I get a wedding inquiry on my website, it literally says like, where did you hear about me? Because I do have like if a client like refers me or whatever, like I do have like special little kickbacks for my clients. Yay, whatever.
Mhm.
Anyways, but I asked that for that purpose. But when somebody puts in the where did you hear about me and they say, I don't know, I've been following you forever. I can't even remember. Like that is the most gratifying thing. Cause I'm like, wow, I could have had this follower since like 6 years ago and now it's
The
time for them to
OG.
get married. Yeah, I know. Actually the really scary part is like when like girls were coming to me to like do their senior session and like I've been following you since I was in 5th grade and I was like, what? How are you old enough? You're a child. How are you old enough to book me for your pictures? Where is your parent? Like but anyways, no, it is very gratifying and that's what you guys should honestly want. And if you want to know more about how you can set yourself apart in social media, I will be putting together a guide. And then our little Mama Lauren, who is our organizer, she will set it up to go live on our email list. So make sure you're signed up for that. And maybe that's what we'll launch.
Be right below here. Like just go down, scroll down to email list link, and it will I will have a specific one set up that you can sign up for our email list and it will automatically send you the free guide that Lindsay and I are putting together for this.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to like wait for it to come. Just go press the button, sign up, and then go look in your inbox because it will be there waiting for you.
Yep. And always, if you ever want to dive deeper in it, be on the lookout for our next workshop, which hopefully we'll be announcing all the details on that sooner rather than later. But as long as you're following us on Instagram, so it's the Cowboy Creative, it's on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and on TikTok. So as long as you're following us there, you're never going to miss a beat. And if you want to be, in the know all the time, make sure you're signed up for that email newsletter.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week on another episode of The Next Generation Cowboy Creative Style. See y'all later. Bye.
Happy wedding, Lauren. Happy wedding. Good luck.